Let's see here.
So while we're figuring that out, so happy Friday, guys. We're going to go through the list. Drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box. Happy Friday, Aaron, Dan, John, my buddy in Jersey. We've got the Wisconsin. We've got Gail. We've got Gene. Chris, is Chris Harrington and Kevin with us? Thank you, guys.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Any luck, Damon?
I'm not able to do anything. So if she can't, she still can't see it, Josh.
Think he's talking to her. So guys, while they're figuring that out, we'll just jump in. So I'll start the intro. So please, they're
coming together. There we go.
They do. Look at that. That's magic. How did you get to Josh's house so fast?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, guys. Holly, there you are. So we got it.
Right.
Boy, modern technology. They're like miles apart, and all of a sudden, like she just
they're just right there.
It's like Star Trek, man.
It's like magic.
This is phenomenal.
All right. We're going to go live here on LinkedIn and get things started. Thanks everyone for being here. And the video is going.
Little Friday jam. I like that. Yeah. So.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Friday edition of the Manufacturing Ecommerce Success Series. I'm Damon Pistolka here with my co-host, Curt Anderson. We are going to be talking today about planning your sales and marketing for resiliency. Curt, take it away, man.
Hey, Damon. Let's see the jersey. Let's see what you got going today. I love it, guys. Football
Blue
season.
Friday. Blue Friday.
Next Friday, guys, wear your team jersey. So I'm wearing my team jersey. I'm wearing my Protocol 80 little swag for my friends here, Josh and Holly. So guys, happy Friday. Hope each and every one of you crushed it this week. So guys, this is such an honor, such a privilege. I'm like the proud uncle right now. So it's like Uncle Curt coming at you. So I've got my dear buddy, Josh, Holly. These guys are with Protocol 80. Josh, Holly, happy Friday. Welcome to the program.
Happy Friday. Thanks for having us.
I can't hear him. Josh, hear you.
Awesome.
So guys, let me just give a little background here to Protocol 80. So Josh, you and I go back, believe it or not, we're almost on our 10-year anniversary. We connected about 9 years ago. And so when I met Josh, he and his partner Donnie started Protocol 80 years ago. And they had about, I think Josh? I think you had one employee. It was you, Donnie, and one employee, if I'm not mistaken, when I met you, something like that.
That's about right when we met.
Okay. I think we're getting a little delay, but so when we met, you guys had one employee. You're now what? You're up around 20 employees, give or take?
I think we have 17 or so.
17 employees. So, just like that proud uncle, I've had a front row seat and watch you guys grow your company. You are a true entrepreneurial success story. We're going to talk. You guys took a little pivot years ago. I want to dig into that. Holly, you and I had the privilege we met a couple years ago. Josh and I, we've spoken at each other's events. We've tag team working with clients together over the years. And you and I had the honor of meeting at Manufacturing Marketing World, which was a wonderful event that Josh and Donnie put on a couple years ago. And this young speaker got up and just blew the room away. And it was none other than Holly. So Holly, let's talk a little bit. We're going to shine a light on you for a minute. Enough about Josh, right? So you are originally from Syracuse, New York. You're here at the firm at Protocol 80. Let's just talk about, we talk a lot about millennials getting into manufacturing. Protocol 80 just crushes it. You're a digital marketing, inbound marketing firm for manufacturers. When you were graduating from St. Bonaventure University, why manufacturing? How did Protocol 80, why was that attractive to you to start your career this direction?
Yeah, so I started mostly, inbound is all about content, right? Lots of writing and producing of content. And so I started in a writing internship position where I was doing a lot of social media, blog writing for our clients. And what I ended up loving through the years and working my way up from intern to writer and now a strategist was just kind of that feeling and the purposefulness of bringing leads to manufacturing companies, of knowing you're writing something educational that people can sink their teeth into and then find their way to our clients is just really, really rewarding. Especially so many of our clients, we have clients everywhere, but so many of them are in Jamestown, St. Mary's. So just feeling like we're bringing business to close manufacturers was huge. And that's still like the best high in the world when we get one of those small manufacturing companies a really good lead. So that's kind of how that journey went for me.
That's awesome. And I see Val just popped in the room. Happy Friday, Val. And what's awesome, I've had the honor and privilege of working with multiple clients with you guys over the years. And again, when you say small, we've had 20 employee shops. I've been, Josh, you and I've been in folks with hundreds of employees. So again, you guys do an amazing job. Again, I've watched it firsthand. Now, Holly, you're just such an inspiration to me. Now I have to digress. I looked on your LinkedIn profile. You did something for Syracuse University about shipwrecks. Like
Yeah.
what?
Oh my gosh, I never get to talk about this. That was a really deep dive. So when I was a junior in college, I had the privilege of getting a marketing, PR, and writing internship with Dr. Catherine Newton. She is the Dean Emeritus at Syracuse University, and she worked on the Shipwrecks Project, which essentially was when she was 16 years old. She was a scientist at Duke University, and she was on the crew that found the USS Monitor, the famous missing Civil War battleship.
Wow.
So I worked with her for a summer, going through lots of different missing shipwreck cards and helping her kind of write her book and her memoir and get that off the ground. So she is one of the best people I've ever known. She's an incredibly successful woman, a role model of mine. And yeah, that was one of the ways I got a marketing and PR start early on.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad you brought that up. So guys, if you want to know more about Civil War shipwrecks, you want to contact Holly. So again, I dropped Holly and Josh's their LinkedIn profiles in the chat. Their website is in there. Josh, dude, you're like my BFF, my nephew. I'm not sure what we are, but you're a dear close friend. You're an amazing dad, two wonderful young kids. Last year during COVID, we wanted to meet up and we're like, hey, we can't meet. What should we do? We went for like a 10-mile hike, man. You killed the old guy. So we had an awesome time. But you guys are just relentless, building your company, helping manufacturers. You made a huge pivot years ago. I just want to share with everybody what you did. So first off, you and your partner, Donnie, you start this inbound marketing firm and you evolve into manufacturers. Then as you're doing websites and just kind of like, anybody starting out their business, anything coming your way. Now you took a huge pivot. I think it was like 2015-ish. And you and I, we were very tight and we were talking a lot about it. Talk a little bit about that pivot and how you went all in on inbound marketing for manufacturers, which was a big risk at that time.
Yeah, for sure. So historically, we had been website development, SEO, and PPC for manufacturing companies in the industrial space. And one of the challenges was always we would ask for content to support SEO, whether it's a website page or back then, maybe a little bit of blogging, but it wasn't as popular as today. And it was always a challenge. Manufacturers, even if they have the right intentions to get something done, it just is challenging because they're pulled in. So that was constantly the number one struggle was we're waiting for content. And at the time, we had already been convinced about inbound and that inbound is the right way to go. So we said, all right, well, if our clients can't get the content done, let's bring people in that can do it for them. So we essentially built our company or our company growth around people like Holly that could do all of that could write and strategize, and we could take that off the plate of the manufacturers that just struggle with it. So at that time, we started to, instead of being a project shop, grow into having partnerships with our clients and working with them and really understanding their business and essentially being their marketing arm. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, man, I love that. And look at this, like you talk about two young guys with a dream and a vision to build a company. And, and it's not like you're hiring people, you're creating careers. Look, you have somebody like, amazing talent, somebody like Holly, Molly, the rest of your team, and you're creating career opportunities for young people. So again, extremely admirable. Our hats off to you. A couple more shout outs, guys. If you get to know Josh, you see that bike over his shoulder. He's guy's like just a psychomaniac. He's a super fit basketball player, loves his tacos, by the way. So let's dig into what we want to talk about today. Guys, you were both at FabTech. We are all dying to hear what went on at FabTech this week.
FabTech was awesome. Do you want to start? Because I feel like I'll just keep talking. Why don't you start? This was Holly's first FabTech.
Yeah. So what brought us to FabTech was actually we both had speaking engagements there. On Monday morning, bright and early, we led a session about sales and marketing tactics. And on Wednesday morning, bright and early, I had an in-depth workshop about marketing, which left us Tuesday to just walk the floor and explore. And it's so amazing and overwhelming how many booths there are. It was like mind blowing. And nobody really knew what to expect from an attendance standpoint. Of course, this being a lot of people's first show back since COVID, but there was a lot of people there. Everywhere you looked, people were having conversations and networking and talking shop, which was just really great to see after kind of a year of 18 months really of no in-person events. So that's like, I think, high level. Any details I missed?
Yeah. So this is my, I think, 5th or 6th year speaking at FabTech. The FabTech crew is awesome. They're so great to work with. Isla and her team there is awesome. But it was different in that there were some open spots, which I think was expected, some open floor spots, and in all the halls that they had, which is, that's okay. One different thing that I noticed was every booth that we stopped at, everyone wanted to have a full-on conversation about their entire life. So instead of a 3-minute, you could tell this person doesn't want to talk to me conversation, it's like, we got to know everyone. There were like weird stories about someone's brother that was taking money from the company and he had to start a new business. It was just, people were ready to talk to other humans in person.
Yeah.
So that they were just bursting for social interaction. Is that your observation?
Yeah. And then, one of the cool things, I think we asked everyone how the show was going for them. And the consistent message that we got was traffic might be down, right? Less attendees, but everyone is serious about buying. Yep. Like the people that are coming have something in mind. They're coming to our booth and they are ready to buy. So that was very, very promising for them, for the exhibitors. I thought that was great.
So, and Holly, you were sharing that a little bit earlier. And I think that, let's hit on that for a minute. Think about like what went on, the psychology of like what we've all gone through this past year, lack of social interaction, what's going on with supply chain issues and everything else. And I love what you're saying is people wanted to engage. They maybe felt a little bit more empathetic or took time to share something about themselves or, maybe got, sounds like a little bit more personal, but they were also on a mission to do business. Yeah. And that's super exciting to hear as well. So Josh, again, you've been there 5 or 6 times. Any other, like if you were popping into other speakers or, as you were roaming the floors, anything else that stood out to you from the show?
As being different or as just
say like, pre-COVID compared to now, other than what you just mentioned?
Yeah, there wasn't as much just social to be social. Typically there's going to be VIP events and networking events. And there were a couple. We went to an event held by the American Welding Society right down by the river outdoors. It was cool. We got to have some great conversations with welders, which brought up like my passion to have a second hobby or another hobby of learning how to weld.
Yeah, Jeff wants to weld now. That was the main FabTech takeaway.
Sure. We'll get that started.
Oh, dude, awesome. It's good. It's good. Yeah. You'll like it.
Yeah. That's what I hear. That's from all the welders. They told me I would like it.
They really sell it.
Yeah. And we know a lot of companies that could use welding skills right now. So you'd be hired in a minute. So let's, guys, for our program today, we're talking about resiliency and how to for sales and marketing. So why don't you share a little bit about talk about your program let's start with the Monday program where the two of you tag teamed it. Talk a little bit what was the content there, what was the message, and what were some takeaways for folks?
I think briefly something I want to touch on too before we dive into the presentation is in terms of resiliency, and a lot of the tactics that we talked about on Monday kind of draw back to this as well, but also what we saw at the show. Buyers who are coming to the show ready to buy and have those conversations have already done research and they know what they're looking for, right? So I think that's a huge testament to the resiliency of digital marketing, of producing content. Even though people are still in person, it's speeding up that sales process. They're doing research before they're having those sales conversations. It's not like they're any more knowledgeable or more ready just because COVID happened. It's because they're doing that research online. We know that from data that HubSpot's released, traffic is up, especially across blogs and educational resources. So I think a lot of resiliency comes down to having that strong content base that helps nurture people, build brand awareness, and shorten that sales cycle in the manufacturing space. And I think not only did we see that at the show, but a lot of our tactics hinge on that as well.
Wow. Let's savor that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, this is just
like just let what a pivot change or COVID change or however you want to describe it, where now manufacturers are coming to a trade show prepared, equipped. They've checked you out on your website. They've checked you out on LinkedIn. Their videos. They want to know who you are. So when they come in, they how much further is that sales process. And by doing that, maybe even like the tire kickers or the people that aren't a great fit, you did yourself a favor by putting yourself out there with video. Val, I know you're doing a great job, or Chris and Kevin, you guys do your trade shows and you're working relentlessly with manufacturers on e-commerce. What a great piece of advice right here. So Holly, I'm just glad we'll savor that. It's lunchtime here on the East Coast. We'll savor that for a minute.
Well, and the other thing, Curt, real quick, you guys had mentioned how people wanted to talk about stuff about their life, about other things, not just business. And maybe if there's anything that we learned from this and all this video calling and everything else, and people are finally starting to share and shed this, I'm a business person here and I'm a person off business here, and we're melding it a little bit more so we can actually get some sort of balance in what we try to do, or at least not to have to live these dual personalities almost, because it is about doing business, like we like to say, human to human, and really getting that thing going. That's encouraging for me to hear that.
Aaron, absolutely. You can always say amen and thank God, anything you want to on this program. You are more than. So what a great comment. Like Dan Bigger, my buddy Dan, I love following his kids' sporting events, know, and again, it's about building that relationship, because we would do that otherwise, So again, thank you for sharing that, Holly. So let's dig into the Monday program. What did folks learn? And we, our little private crowd here, we get a little taste of what you did at FabTech. So thank you for sharing this with us. What did we talk about on Monday?
So the premise was, we work with a lot of different manufacturers, and we have for a long time, and there's a lot of different tactics and approaches that we can make. Some of them work really well for that time. Some of them, take advantage of like that timeliness. But then there's also some activities that are like meant to be green, right? They're evergreen. Like anytime you do it, it's probably going to work if you do it right. So what we did was we broke that down into both marketing and sales, and said, from a marketing perspective, these are the activities that you need to do. From a sales perspective, these are the activities that you need to do. And I think one of the overarching themes was, don't wait and be proactive or be reactive until you have to do it. Be a little bit proactive. So think about the manufacturing world. How much of it was a struggle, or how big of a struggle was it for manufacturing sales reps to start virtually selling? It was like the end of the world, right? Well, how am I supposed to do this if I can't go to the facility? But, stats show that they were able to do it. And there were some recent polls done and research done that said, in fact, most of the people that made that shift to virtual selling did better. It's less windshield time. It's more time being able to do the activities that you need to do. And then at some point you can be in person. So that's the high level stuff. Did you want to talk on a couple of the kind of more specifics?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as we just mentioned, so much of these tactics hinge on content as well. And to Josh's point of being proactive, 80 to 90% of my clients' leads in 2020 and early 2021 came from a blog. That's so clients who were already blogging, already doing some of these evergreen tactics that we're about to mention, far succeeded ahead of people who were just trying to start to do those things now. Better late than never, of course. So you're not having the same conversation in 2 years, but genuinely the majority of leads we saw come from things like blogging and producing content was huge. And another really big one that we talked about in a couple of different ways for both sales and marketing is sort of not putting all your eggs in one basket. So I think that was a lesson that people learned sort of the hard way in 2020, was if they were only relying on one channel. Well, what do you do when a major, social crisis in the US happens and it's not appropriate to be selling on social media for a couple months? That happened right around the time of the pandemic even. So making sure that you've built up these multiple channels, you're selling via video, email, LinkedIn, you're promoting your assets via, video, email, LinkedIn, you're not just relying on one avenue to get to that goal. And Josh has a really great thing that he talks about in terms of multiple ways to close your pipeline goals as well.
Yeah. So multiple ways in connecting first. Let's talk that since it ties to you. Salespeople tend to have a channel that they like. Like I'm a salesperson. I like to email people. That's what I do. Well, what if your emails are getting ignored? Pick up the phone and call. It's not that hard. The person on the other end may prefer a phone call, or vice versa. There's some salespeople, even people that I buy from, that every time I might email them, instead of emailing me back, they pick up the phone and call. And I'm like, just email me or text me or something, right? Like it's 2021. That's what I prefer. So salespeople need to understand that buyers are different. They need to adapt and have those multiple modes of communication, even if they aren't comfortable with it, right? And then, to your point, multiple ways to making sure that we're hitting our quotas. If you're a salesperson and you're in a sales meeting and your quota is $1 million, and that $1 million relies on those three deals that add up to $1 million closing, you're not doing it right? You need $3 million to make sure that you have that $1 million closing, or $5 million deals, or whatever it may be. But you have to have multiple past your quota, because things are going to fall through the cracks. And if they don't, and all of them close, then you're beating your quota.
Yeah.
Right? That's the opposite of a problem.
Set the bar higher, and let's just unpack that a little bit. I love what you guys said is, it's so important. Like, who's the buyer? As the buyer, Damon and myself, is it this generation? Is it your generation? Like, what generation are you targeting? How do they speak? Some of people I email, that's what I do. You know what? Send out your, Damon, we talk about this in our training sessions. Send out your calendar link. Make it easy as possible to communicate with you. Instead of like, hey, Josh, you available Tuesday at 9? No, how about Thursday at 2? No, I'll have my people get back to your people and we'll connect that. Let's make it as easy as humanly possible. So if they text. If they email, what generation are they from? Let's pay attention to what makes it. Let's make it easy for them, not for us. And sometimes for us older guys, it's hard to do, right? So all right, go ahead, Holly.
Oh, I was just going to say, you didn't even know it, but you segued right into one of our other tactics, which is just making sure that you're updating your personas and that your buyers are qualified and that you're speaking in a way that continues to qualify your buyers. So the best way to know, instead of just kind of guessing how your customers want to be talked to, is by asking them. Conduct buyer interviews, and certainly update your persona. There's more women in STEM now than ever. If you haven't updated your buyer persona demographic since 2017, that might be dated. You might be targeting the wrong pool of people. So just making sure that that's the best place to start. Not that you shouldn't still try things and see what works and offer different mediums where people can interact, but it's also great to just interview and ask people how they want to be talked to as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. No, I absolutely love it. So, okay. So that was Monday before we jump into the Wednesday workshop, and we are dying. We're just so excited to hear about this Wednesday workshop, Holly. Any other takeaways on the Monday program that you guys want to share, or anything you want to unpack there?
I thought it was encouraging to hear some of the questions and the comments of people that maybe some of these tactics weren't new for them, but it reinforced their thought. And they said, you know what, I am going down the right path. I'm going to continue. I'm going to build upon. So I don't know. I'm sure we were earth shattering, right, to all of the attendees, but I think that people are on the right path. They were forced there. But hopefully the next major global issue that comes up, people are more prepared. And if we can help them be more prepared, you guys can help them be more prepared, I love it.
Yep. And more efficient. It's just, and people are finding out, even folks that were resistant to these changes, or, like we deal with a lot of folks, again, our generation where, they call it the belly to belly salesperson. And, they've had to adapt and change whether they wanted to or not. So, and they're finding out, boy, this is super efficient that I can do a Zoom call. I'm building stronger relationships by, instead of being on the phone or emailing, by physically seeing the person. And like sharing some of these personal stories, or, seeing Dan Bigger's kids crush it in sports. So let's jump into, Holly, you had a wonderful, amazing workshop. I'm dying for everybody. Everybody's dying to hear about it. Share what went on Wednesday at this 90-minute workshop that you did.
And before she starts, I just want to say that she killed it in the workshop. She did an awesome job. Great attendance. Great crowd, great questions.
And I've seen her in action, as you guys can tell. What a poise, wise, well beyond her years. Holly, you're just such a true professional. You're a breath of fresh air. You're just a delight. So again, thank you both for taking time to join us today. But let's dig in. What did people learn on Wednesday?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you both for the kind words. I'm overwhelmed. But so what I tried to focus on was, I was given a 90-minute slot, right? So how do we make that interactive and impactful? So what I spoke on was building an inbound marketing plan for manufacturers. So that's kind of the short version, is taking all of these tactics that we just talked about and laddering them up into an actual plan that can be executed by these manufacturing companies. And so that they can actually start to see success. So what I did was, I had the presentation, of course, and then I also had workbooks where everyone could kind of follow along and work along with me, because I know what it's like to get back from a trade show and back into office. And in that moment, when you're in that session, you're like, yes, absolutely, I'm going to do it. And then you get back to the office and you don't. So I thought maybe if we worked there, got them like 50% of the way there with those follow along workbooks, that would be more of an impetus to kind of keep the ball rolling. And then I also included a digital component with links to different SEO resources and competitor research tools that they could use to now get it 80% there. So hopefully before 2022, they have an inbound marketing plan that they're able to execute. So that was a ton of fun, and everyone was great. There was lots of great sharing, and we were able to build off of people's examples. So I really appreciated, truly, it wouldn't have been the workshop it was without the awesome audience that we had in attendance. So that was really fun.
And
go ahead, David.
Well, and that's what we see in our training too, or when we're doing webinars. It's the audience talking about their challenges and other people learning about it and learning from that and contributing to it is such an inspiring, it's such an inspiring part of doing it. That's cool that you guys saw that.
Yeah. Very, very powerful. And Holly, so I'd love to take it a couple of steps further. So without, divulging maybe any, who was there specific, but are there any examples from that workshop that really inspired you, or that, really fired you up, that you walked away with like, wow, that was really cool?
Yeah, I think something that I was kind of, it felt like one of those like big marketing, like serendipity win moments.
Nice.
Was we were working with a gentleman who works in abrasives and like blasting equipment.
Yep.
And I started with the content process by being like, okay, what are your areas of expertise? Now, what are some topics you can write about? And then we started to talk about content pillars in terms of, well, let's start by writing 5 to 10 articles about the same thing, build that into pillar content. It's great for users. It's great for SEO. And what was great is at phase 2, just when we were brainstorming topics, he was already starting to pillarize them. And what was really magical about that is I was able to be like, okay, write those, do that, put it into a website page, make a PDF of it, and you are going to have this like lead generation machine. Like, you're going to be so stoked. So it was really cool to see he was already thinking in that direction before we kind of tied the bow for him. Yeah. So that was like, I was like, hallelujah. That was great.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, I think you're talking about, his name was Curt as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't you though. Different Curt.
Cooler guy.
He
had more hair. All right.
He was facing a lot of challenges that a lot of other manufacturers face, where he wasn't allocated the time resources or the budget resources to actually do what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. As great as his ideas were, which I thought they were good, he needs to be empowered to be able to do them and make them happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we kind of helped him with, because obviously it's all well and good to attend this session and like I'm telling him stuff he already knows, right? But something that he found really helpful was the idea of doing a content template and building out, okay, your yearly goals are this. What do you need to do quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily to ladder up to those goals? That's what we do for our clients. That's kind of the best way, in my opinion, to work with multiple content mediums. And that for him was like, awesome. I'm going to make these content maps and I'm going to take them to my boss and be like, you need to give me time to do this. Mm-hmm. So I think something that's great about these sessions is they can sometimes be empowering for those people to be like validating and be like, yes, I know what I'm doing. And I went to this session and this lady said I can use this template and carve out time. So I think that was something really helpful as well. And hopefully helped him have the tools and language he needed to advocate for marketing.
Man, I absolutely love that. And I want to I see AJ's with us today. AJ, how are you, my friend? And Gail, I think you absolutely you were like giving a little clap to Holly on that. I know Gail does a great job. She works with folks in Canada and trying to keep those people accountable. And, as marketers, we were just talking about that this morning, Damon, it's for marketers at manufacturers, like our friend Dan Bigger, they get it, they understand it, but sometimes it is challenging to convince that to the owner. The owner's throwing on multiple different hats all day, supply chain issues, labor shortages. Am I keeping my employees safe? Are my customers happy? Oh, by the way, I need to do marketing. It's hard for them to stop and say, and listen and say, yes, I do need that. So it's a little bit of a sales pitch for that marketer, that internal marketer, to convince that business owner that, hey, this is what you need to do. And I love how you're laying out this workbook. So it's a tangible workbook that they can take and apply to their business immediately.
Yeah. So Josh dropped a link actually into for kind of the landing page where anyone can access it. So in there's my slides that will hopefully offer context to the workbook itself, and then of course all of the digital tools and resources. Mm-hmm. I'd be happy to walk anyone through it. We could do a mini version of the workshop at FabTech, but I also think the resources in and of themselves, most of the savvy marketers in attendance here might find something useful just by kind of flipping through the slides, maybe making some amendments to the workbook based on kind of where they're at in their marketing. So that's definitely there for anyone to use. I know kind of we're closing out the end of the year here, so now is definitely the time to start building your plan. And I encourage everyone, please take those resources, use them. I hope you find something in there helpful.
Right. Awesome. Well, guys, I know we could do this all day, right? So, and we, I was actually going to come down next time we do this. And so Josh, this is your second time on the program. Holly, your second time. We brought you guys together. Next time I'm going to come down to the office and we're going to do it together. I wasn't able to do that today, but I want to close out with this. Are there any, you guys are Google certified, HubSpot, you are on the latest, greatest, cutting edge. Any tips or any latest tactics beyond the workbook and everything you're doing at Inbound? Any of the latest, greatest that you guys have just recently discovered that maybe you're applying to Protocol 80 yourselves for marketing, or any new exciting things that you're implementing for your clients right away?
That's a tough one. I will say, let me just do this shameless plug.
Yeah, please.
I'm speaking at Inbound at the Inbound conference next month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about helping your salespeople change their habits or not fall into bad habits, back into bad habits as we return to the new normal.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah.
October, whatever Thursday, October 14th or 15th at 7 a.m.
Okay. Yeah.
October 14th. I think the 14th is a Thursday.
Yep,
so October 14th, you're speaking for HubSpot. And how many years in a row? Not in a row, probably with COVID, but how many years have you spoke for HubSpot now?
I did Partner Day twice, and then this is my first inbound presentation.
Awesome.
Not to brag, but he shares a website page with Oprah. So that's kind of
nice. That is
wow.
Dude, that's some juice right there.
Very far down the page from Oprah, though. Let's
He's being humble.
Who knew? Just when I think I couldn't respect or love you anymore, you kind of take a whole new level, Josh. So
Oprah ceiling.
So guys, what we'll do, so we're going to wrap up on this. And so first off, thank you both. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for what you do for manufacturers. Josh, as an entrepreneur, the employees that these opportunities that you've created for our friends like Holly. Holly, you're just such a gift. You're such a blessing. Gosh, look at you two. You're just
I know.
Awesome.
I didn't
I'm
know
like a
I
proud.
run into his office. It's a wonder we somehow managed to wear coordinating clothes.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys are just shining stars to me. And so again, thank you for everything. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to head back to the tables. So please stick around, have an opportunity to chat with Josh and Holly. We can learn more about the workshop. We can talk about tacos or shipwrecks or anything else that we want to talk about. But hey, we want to, guys, go out there, have an awesome, awesome killer weekend. Keep crushing it. Keep at manufacturing e-commerce success. Josh, Holly, thank you. God bless everybody. Damon, take it away, brother.
All right. Thanks, Curt. Yeah, it was awesome as usual having you guys on and talking about FabTech. Thanks so much there. Thanks everyone on LinkedIn. Love the comments. Having a great time there as well. We're going to drop back like Curt says. But Igor, Steve, Bonnie, and everyone else that was commenting there on LinkedIn, thanks for joining us there. We're going to stop the broadcast over there and we're going to go back to the tables and talk a little bit more. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right.